Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Now, let's take a look at what else happened at the Brussels conference. There's a little bit of arms wrestling going on at NATO. Not only did he criticize them for their lack of contribution to the budget, but let's take a look at Donald Trump, who I think at the end of this trip may be getting a bit much of kings, dictators, pontificates, and European bureaucrats. Take a look at this handshake that he's got with Macron. I guess it's the handshake before the shakedown. And the press is having a lot of fun with this. Say each man gripped the other's right hand so firmly, their knuckles turned white, their jaw seemed to clench as they sat face to face for the meeting. And you can see that they just don't let go of this handshake. And it goes on for quite some time, especially if you slow it down like that. You can see what's happening. They say Merkel, on a recent visit to the Oval Office, you might remember this, tried and failed to get Trump to shake her hand. The symbolic face-off continued later in the day at a NATO summit as Macron approached a group of other leaders and made Trump wait. First exchanging greetings with Merkel, then with the head of the Western military bloc of NATO, and then with others. So basically he made Trump sit over to the side and wait to show that he really didn't care much for Trump. That's possibly part of what was behind that handshake. When Trump finally seized his hand, he pulled it so hard the French president had to use his other arm to set himself free. The second awkward moment that was caught on cameras and went viral today. And you can see, as we've got a clip of him as Donald Trump walked into the meeting, and he kind of shoved aside the president of Montenegro. Do you guys have that clip? There we go. He's shoving aside the president of Montenegro and getting up there because Montenegro is a small country that was just added. Remember, Rand Paul spoke against adding them, and he was accused of being a Putin puppet by John McCain because he wanted to get Montenegro into NATO. Montenegro has a population that is about the size, maybe about half the size of the city of Austin. It's a tiny nation, but of course, you cannot have enough tripwires around the world to please John McCain. He would love for us to have mutual defense agreements with all these different countries so that if anything happens, we can get pulled into a war very quickly. Meanwhile, Trump shames NATO leaders on their defense spending. He hectored NATO leaders, as Bloomberg puts it, to pay their fair share on defense to help counter the terrorist threat, publicly shaming them, risking souring a ceremony that was intended to mark the alliance's unity. Well, what was that? Well, as Trump pointed out, there's 23 of these nations are still not paying what they agreed to pay. But we shouldn't talk about that. We should just put it on the taxpayers of the United States. Donald Trump said that's not fair to the people, to the taxpayers of the United States. Many of these nations owe massive amounts of money from past years, and they're not paying for many years. And where did this happen? This happened at a ceremony marking September 11th, 2001. This was a monument that they were putting up there at NATO, which I think underscores just how pointless and useless NATO is.
During this Memorial Day, I want to thank the veterans that have fought, but of course, most importantly, those that have died, because that's what this holiday and remembrance is all about. Take advantage of these unprecedented specials and help support the tip of the spear in the fight against the globalists while supplies last. These are the biggest sales ever on these items. You add auto ship, several of these are lost leaders. So for myself and the entire Infowars crew, I salute you and thank you for all your prayers on this Memorial Day. Just understand that without you, there'd be nothing, because you are the Infowar.